Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled between misty mountains and shimmering rivers, there lived a girl whose name carried the weight of sorrow, Cinderella. Her life, though marked by beauty in its earliest days, had turned into a waking nightmare. Her once lively home, filled with laughter and the melodies of her mother's voice, now echoed only with orders barked by her cruel stepmother and the cruel laughter of her stepsisters. Cinderella's days were spent in servitude. She scrubbed floors until her hands were raw and washed endless piles of clothing in the icy streams. While others in the kingdom dressed in fine silks, she wore only the remnants of her mother's old dresses, now patched and worn. Yet in her heart she carried a flicker of hope fragile but unwavering. Every night, as she lay under a thin blanket near the dying embers of the hearth, she whispered to herself, "Maybe tomorrow will be better." But how does one hold on to hope when the world seems determined to crush it? This is the story of how one girl, armed with nothing but kindness and a heart of steel, defied all odds. Her life was about to change in ways no one, least of all Cinderella herself, could have ever imagined. Cinderella's once vibrant home had turned into a place of torment. Her stepmother, Lady Tremaine, ruled with an iron will. She was a woman of poise and beauty on the surface, but her heart was as cold as the stone walls of their estate. Each command she issued dripped with cruelty, her eyes always scanning for new ways to make Cinderella's life miserable. Cinderella polished the floors, she barked one morning. By evening, the floors gleamed so brightly they reflected the faces of her stepsisters. Yet they weren't satisfied. "It's not good enough," sneered Anastasia, her lips curling in disdain. Drizella, not one to be outdone, kicked over a bucket of soapy water and smirked as Cinderella fell to her knees to clean it up. The days turned into years, each one marked by endless chores and cruel taunts. Cinderella was relegated to the attic, a drafty room with a single window and a bed made of straw. Her only solace came from the creatures who shared her solitude. The mice, chirping birds, and even the stray cat seemed to understand her pain. "At least they don't ask for more than I can give," she often murmured, stroking a tiny mouse that had scampered onto her lap. Despite it all, Cinderella's heart remained gentle. She would hum the lullabies her mother once sang, and in moments of quiet, she'd dream of a life beyond the walls of her prison. But even dreams seemed fragile here, in a house where love had been replaced by greed and cruelty. Yet, somewhere deep inside, a whisper of hope persisted. "This can't last forever," Cinderella thought. Anything has to change." Little did she know, her wish was about to come true in the most unexpected way. The kingdom was alive with excitement. A royal decree had been issued. The prince, heir to the throne, was to host a grand ball, inviting all eligible maidens in the land. The announcement rippled through villages and towns like wildfire, sparking dreams in the hearts of young women everywhere. Cinderella's stepsisters squealed with delight, immediately imagining themselves as the future queen. For days they pranced about, planning their outfits and practicing their curtsies. Cinderella, on the other hand, stayed silent. Deep down, she longed to go. The thought of escaping her life, even for a single evening, was intoxicating. But her stepmother's sharp words quickly shattered her hope. "You attend the ball," she sneered, her voice dripping with mockery. "You have no dress, no carriage, no place among such fine people." That night, as her stepsisters departed in a dazzling carriage, Cinderella sat alone in the garden, tears streaming down her face. She clutched a small flower in her hand, a remnant of happier times, and sobbed quietly. "Why is it always me?" she whispered to the night sky. Why can't I have just one moment of happiness? Then, like a soft breeze, a light shimmered before her. It grew brighter and brighter until a figure emerged, a woman cloaked in silver, her eyes twinkling like stars. Why are you crying, my dear? The woman asked, her voice warm and soothing. Cinderella looked up in shock. Who are you? She stammered. I'm your fairy godmother, the woman replied with a gentle smile. And tonight you shall go to the ball. Before Cinderella could protest, the fairy godmother raised her wand. In an instant, the garden transformed into a stage for magic. A pumpkin grew larger and larger until it morphed into a gleaming golden carriage. The mice scurried in circles, their tiny bodies shimmering as they became footmen in regal attire. Even the tattered remains of Cinderella's dress began to glow, the threads weaving themselves into a gown of unimaginable beauty. It sparkled like moonlight on water, and at its center sat a pair. Cinderella gasped, her hands flying to her face. Don't know what to say, she whispered. The fairy godmother chuckled. Say thank you and remember this. The magic lasts only until midnight. Make every second count. As the golden carriage pulled away, Cinderella glanced back at her fairy godmother, who waved with a knowing smile. Go on, my dear, she called. Your destiny awaits. And with that, Cinderella was off, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. For the first time in years, she felt something she hadn't dared to dream of hope.